Hello, good morning. I'm very happy today to welcome Miss Camille, a very important singer from the new generation, and she has some new albums, music video projects. Since we are near Christmas and the New Year, so I'm very happy to welcome her today. How are you, Camille?
I'm feeling wonderful. How are you?
Fine, fine. Thank you very much for coming to the live and for your team of publicists to coordinating with me. I found your press release recently, and first I was wondering about your childhood, your early teen years. How did it start with you? And being interested into the art, into music. Tell me a little bit about your early interest into music and singing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ever since I was born, music has just always been a part of me. I always say music is embedded in my DNA. I don't know how to be any other being besides music, you know. So I realized at the age of 3 that I had a voice for singing. I was looking at Beyonce at the time, and the song sounded so beautifully. And I was just in love with the fact that all the notes that she was singing, I was able to hit it. So I was like, she's a star, so I'm a star too. And that's just how I decided what I wanted to be. Music was always played in my household every single day. From the time that I wake up, I would wake up to the sound of my mom cleaning while listening to music, and she was always listening to calypso music, reggae music, gospel music, depending on, which day of the week it was. And so just waking up to the sound of music every day, listening to music all throughout the day. And we would sing songs together in the house. My mom taught me a lot of songs growing up as well. It started off, of course, with nursery rhymes as a baby. And then I just stuck with music. Music was always a part of me.
Yes, but tell me, where did you grow up?
You said, where did I grow up?
Yes.
So I grew up in the United States of America. I grew up in New
Hmm.
York. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a melting pot of different cultures. You get
Yes.
exposed to all sorts of, vibrant cultures, music, foods.
Yes.
So it's a really interesting lifestyle.
Yes. And tell me, what was your first step, between being a fan of music, inspired by your listening and your mother loving of different style of music? What were the first steps you took to become a professional singer?
Yeah, well, I started off at first singing in the church choir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was singing the church choir, and then I started to really just want to study how to write my own songs, because my mom used to walk around the house singing to herself, and I'm like, "Me, what song are you singing?" And she said, "Oh, I'm just making it up as I go along." I was like, "That's not a real song?" And she said, "No, I'm just singing out whatever I feel." So I was like, oh, I guess that's how you write a song. You just sing out whatever you feel. So I started to sing out whatever I feel. I started copying my mom, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I remember I think I was around 9 years old, and there was a lady named Alison Hinds, and singing I think on top of a truck or on top of a stage or something. And me being short and me trying to remember back, I just know that I saw her on top of a elevator, and she was singing over the crowd, and she was singing soca music.
Mm-hmm.
I was just captivated by that. And so I said to my mom, I said, "Mommy, when I grow up, I just want to be just like Alison Hinds." you know
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I start to look at music schools, because when I was going to school, I was always in the theater productions. I was always doing musicals, plays. And so when it was time to decide, like, which high school do you want to go to or which college you want to go to, I start specifically looking at music schools because I know that's what I want to do with my life. So the first
Mhm.
that I went called Brooklyn High School of the Arts, and choir there. That is where I learned to read sheet music. So I start to actually learn the language of music and the science behind music and the mathematics behind it as well. Reading sheet music, and I
Mhm.
started to because they were also teaching us how to write our own sheet music. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
started to learn how to write notes and write out the sheet music, and I would make up my own songs. I was literally just because I just automatically was becoming a lyric composer from what
Mhm.
I was learning at school. When I finished high school, I decided that I wanted to take a course in audio engineering because when I was looking at the music industry and I was like, how do they get songs onto a record where it transmits the sound to our ears? So I wanted to understand the science behind that now. So I was like, okay, I need to study the engineering. So I
Mhm.
took audio engineering course that it like from the beginning of the course, it teaches you what is sound? Where does sound come from? They start teaching you about vibrations, frequency, the different decibels that it needs to be at, So as I'm studying that, then I started to buy, a microphone, an interface, and I'm like, I am going to learn at home how to do what I'm learning at audio engineering. And
I I got a question for you. I got a question for you, Camille. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Antonio. Thank you for having me here, share at Venus.com. The question is, first of all, congratulating you on your auto education, basically because you actually taught yourself many things, due to your passion to music. Now, as you were saying, when you're learning this music, methodology and techniques. Actually, of course, everything mostly whatever you're hearing, it hits your soul and it makes your mind, travel to places that's never been before. That's when we
absolutely.
hear a right. That's when we hear a beautiful song. Now, my question is, like, when you're going through different phases, like joy, grief, happiness, do you actually, as an artist, when you detect these emotions, you actually get to grab a piece of paper and write something that's really coming to your mind, and as a let's call it, instead of an art attack, would that be an inspiration attack that you gotta really take advantage of and write at that precise moment?
Exactly. Exactly. It's like sometimes you just have a gut feeling. It's like your intuition, And even though sometimes you may not have a melody for it in the moment, because sometimes certain words or certain phrases will just come to me. And I say,
Mhm.
let me hurry up and write this down before I forget it. I'll write it down. Whether it has a melody or it doesn't have a melody, it's still a message. And like you said, it will come to you at different times in your life when you're feeling different emotions. If you're grieving, or even if you're happy, no matter what emotion that you're feeling, we do put that on paper, and not just musicians alone, but poets, authors, whatever it is. Like we literally all are artists, no matter what job you have, whether you're a music artist or you're a carpenter, an architect, we all are creating or designing something in this world, So whatever you think, you just put it on paper. And even when I remember now, when I would write songs in my head and I had a melody for it, and I would write it down. But when I would revisit it about a week or a couple months later, I'm looking at the words, but I don't remember the melody. I don't remember. So that is when now I started to say, and this is before I got into the audio engineering. I would just take, my cell phone and just record a voice recording of me singing it so that I do not forget the melody, because
Wow.
I I had notebooks as a child, full of all these things written down, all my feelings, everything. Some of them had melodies, and I wouldn't remember how it went, but I always kept the message. The message was always more important to me than the melody.
Yes, but tell me about your first hits like Pushback and Mango. How did you came up with them, and tell me about the reflections of, the reaction of the audience and the releases.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So again, sometimes there's a period of time as a songwriter where you might experience writer's block. All right. And some people see that as a negative thing. Some people are like, I really want to write this, and why can't I focus? Why can't I write? Why it's not coming to me? And sometimes it's okay when you have writer's block, because maybe that's just a sign that your brain is resting, right? Because we need rest in order for us to function better. So you can't always be on overdrive. You can't always just have it together. Sometimes you rest. So when you have writer's block, it's not a curse, but actually a blessing, because your brain is resting for what's about to come. Right. So right before I was pregnant, I was having a little bit of writer's block. And I also had decided too that, I wanted to take a little break from the music. I was starting a family, and I wanted to focus on my pregnancy, because, when you're carrying a baby, just anything that is affecting you is also going to affect your child, because
Right.
the brain development of the baby is very crucial to designing who that human being is going to be in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that in my body we have a balance of different hormones, and when your cortisol levels are really high, it will stress the baby, and that will affect the baby's brain development, and it creates that human being to be who they are, and it will display in their behaviors later in life. So
Yeah.
thing my my environment and the vibrations and frequencies that I was feeling, to kind of curate and design my own baby while she was growing in me, you know.
Mhm.
I knew to myself that I wanted to hibernate. I didn't want anybody influencing the cortisol levels to rise. So I pulled back from the music industry, and I pulled back from society in general. I was really sick, and I remember my doctor was like, "You probably need to go on bed rest." And so my job was like, "Okay, we're going to send you home on short-term disability for you to hibernate and really focus on your pregnancy." Now I'm home hibernating. I'm eating the right way, drinking water, and doing everything that it is possible for me to just have a peaceful pregnancy. And that is when a producer by the name of Jude Robertson, he is the producer and owner of Monster Entertainment. And he sent me a rhythm, and he said, I want you to write something on this rhythm. I said, Jude, I am focusing on my pregnancy. I am not interested with music right now. When the baby comes, I'll resume music. He said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, meditate on it, and we don't have to put it out this year. We could probably put it out next year. I said, okay. So I was listening to it. And at first, again, the writer's block was there. I couldn't come with anything. And then one day I was outside, and the sun was just like shining and stuff. And the idea of writing a song about just letting go of all of your stress and stuff like that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it started off as just let it go. That was the message. Let it go, just let it go. So I come home, and I was eating mangoes, because during my pregnancy now I had a condition called hypergravidarum, and I was bringing up everything that I was eating. So the only thing that would stay down was certain fruits. So I was eating a lot of mangoes, and I bought so many mangoes that some of my mangoes were on the counter spoiling, and my mom ended up bringing them away. So I went to my mom, and I said, Mommy, I had some mangoes on the counter here. Where did they go? She said, "Oh, that's away." And that was when the idea came to me. Where the mango? Aleme mango, achori mango.
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
okay, so I listened back to the rhythm and I start to sing. And then I just said, you know what? Sometimes as a musical being, there's nothing you can do to stay away from the music. So I ended up writing Mango. I sent it back for him. And the rest was history. I ended up going to the studio pregnant when I said I wasn't going to be doing that. And I recorded the song Mango. Now within that same time, I also had a song Pushback, right?
Mhm.
And initially I had this idea in my phone for Pushback, but it originally had a different melody. Okay. So I keep on thinking to myself, like, when I give birth to the baby, one of the first songs I want to drop is the Pushback. I was studying the Mango. I was more kind of like, I want to put out this pushback song. So I reached out to a guy named Wildfire. He is a Trinidadian songwriter and vocal producer and arranger. So I reached
Mhm.
and I say, I want to executive produce my own rhythm with my newly formed. I have my own record label named Spice Girl Entertainment, and I was like, I want to do my first executive production. So when I reached out to Wildfire, I said I'm looking for a producer to produce this song for me, and I just sent him a little idea in my phone, and so he was like, okay, I know a guy in St. Lucia. His name is Migs, Vibes Productions. He could build that rhythm for you. And, the rest was history. I reached out to Migs and he said, yes, I could build that for you. He built the rhythm for me. And then we got live instruments also on the rhythm. And then I then went to the studio again while I'm still pregnant, recorded the song, and then we sent it to three people for background vocals. One was my cousin. Her name is Valine, and she is one of the biggest female artists out of Grenada as well. So I
Mhm.
sent Valine for background vocals. I sent it to Trini Baby out in Trinidad for background vocals, and then the same Wildfire also put background vocals on the song.
Yes.
Okay, the rest was history. The song was recorded, but after that, I gave birth to the baby, and I said, okay, I'm again going to focus all of my energy on the baby only, put the music on the back burner, and
Mhm.
have gut feelings that tells you when is the exact right time to drop a song. You just go with the flow, you go with the vibrations.
Mhm. Right now, I want to ask you about your company. Do you plan to produce only for yourself or for other artists?
So I started the company so that I could produce for other artists, right?
Great.
So I am just setting the example. So this first
Mhm.
production was just me creating some people would say a blueprint, but me, one of my favorite colors is gold, so I call it the gold print. Okay. I call it the gold
Mhm.
print. So I am basically setting the gold print for other female artists who
Mhm.
want to do what I'm doing. you know
Mhm.
you don't necessarily have to be a beat maker, because again, you don't want to put your brain in overdrive. you know so you can hire beat makers to make the beat for you, and you are the one doing the executive production, because you are guiding them on how you want this beat to sound you know
Mhm.
and then when it comes to songwriting, I would be giving my advice on how to write songs, and then I could also write songs and give to other female artists to sing on my executive productions. So that's why I started Spice Girl Entertainment LLC.
Yes, I want also to know because you produce a lot of singles, music video, and I want to ask you for the time being, how do you promote them? Because the music industry has changed a lot,
Yeah.
and there is a lack of, I don't imagine people, they want to go to MTV or VH1 like before,
Yeah.
and so there is no sales of CDs like before or albums. So you have right now Spotify, SoundCloud, and similar platform, and maybe YouTube as well, and
Yes.
Apple Music. So basically, if you put yourself in this big ocean of artists, music artists, and Spotify, you are competing with the big ones. You know, you are
Yeah.
competing with Beyonce as well, with Rihanna. You know, who has they have millions of listeners, and you are just picking up. You know, you need to tend to try to drive the algorithm towards you. So I want to know, because you have a company, you have publicists, how do you promote your songs to give them to a wider audience?
Yes. So I use social media to promote
Hmm.
my and what I also do outside of social media, because the way that the algorithm works is they want you to be they really just want you to be on the social media like every second of the day, you know.
Yes,
Those who have the time to be on there every single day, they're going to get pushed out in the algorithm because of the fact that they're constantly using it. But somebody like me, who's a businesswoman now, and I am like at the head of my company, and I'm the only person really doing everything right now, I don't really have time to be on social media every second of the day. So,
yes,
so what
yes.
I like, for example, when I do my video, um,
Hmm.
I will put it on Instagram, I'll put it on TikTok, and put it on YouTube. And there are they have ads that you could pay for, and Facebook also. You could go on Meta and you pay for an ad. And I mean, you're basically paying social media to push your stuff out for you. And there's still no telling who they're pushing it out to, if they're pushing it out to your right audience or if they're pushing it out to a random audience, you know. And the genre that I'm singing, I want to push it to the audience that actually wants to receive it, because you'd be wasting your money if you're paying for an ad and it's getting pushed out to random people who are not really going to connect with it.
Yes.
So what I
Usually,
exactly
yeah. Mhm.
is I will go on Canva,
Mhm.
graphic design, and I create flyers and ads about my music, and I'll put a QR code on it that leads to my social media accounts. And when I go to places, like if I go to a fete, a party, or any type of soca concert, I hand these physical flyers out there so that
Mhm.
the people can come to my social media accounts. So I'm
Mhm.
not just doing online, but I'm also actually doing the groundwork outside in the world. I will go to Times Square and hand them out, because there's a lot of people out there who maybe
Yes.
haven't discovered soca music as yet. And if they find it, if they like it, they'll follow it, you know. So that's how I gradually am organically trying to build the right following.
Yes. Antonio, you have a question for Camille?
Oh yeah, yeah. So actually, Camille, first of all, thank you for having me again in Meeting Venus. It's actually the first time I'm here, so you know, it's really good. I do have a question for you, and precisely the question I want to actually ask you is the fact that it's interesting how you market yourself as far as you being, let's use the term one man woman. It's the original one is a one man gang, but you're like a one man one woman gang. So
Yeah.
right, you do everything. You do the posting, you do the distribution, you do your own graphic publicity and everything. That's good. How do you actually keep yourself from not stressing yourself out? So to actually be, what's this word I'm looking for? Uh, you know, when you're actually so focused in your career, you think a lot of things, and I think there's a point where you want to explode, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why you said that you took a break. How
Yeah.
much? Yeah, the question is, how much is it important to take a break, to take time off, whether it's music, whether it's acting?
Yeah.
Does that affect your creativity later on, Or on the otherwise side, does that actually charge you with more ideas while days go by? And when you are actually back again, actually what the break you've had actually of the days off actually makes you actually store those ideas, and then when it's time to go back, then you see, okay, I was thinking in doing this poster, I was thinking in posting this, I was thinking in this melody, now let's get it on, but with more energy. Am I right? Is that what you are actually referring to?
Absolutely, absolutely. The body needs rest in order to function. The body needs rest. So even if you look at it like when you're working a 9 to 5 and you're working, when the weekend comes, you need that to rest. But we live in a society now that when the weekend comes, we're still not resting because guess what? We have kids to take care of. We have laundry to do. We have food to cook. We have so many things to do. And then when you go back to work, you're still working. So the body does need rest. Now, I know that sometimes because we have bills to pay and the pressures of the system is on us. A lot of people are sometimes afraid of just throwing the towel in and quitting their job and just going somewhere else and relax.
Mm.
But it's funny because the way that I just feel like I listen to God all the time, and I've never been afraid to just quit a job and just use my last pennies to just take a flight and go somewhere else in the world. Okay.
Yes.
And so what I used to do is when I started to feel like, okay, I'm going to get burnout, I'm going to explode because I'm juggling my 9 to 5 and my music business at the same time. So I will go to my job and I say, I would like to take a leave of absence, right? And sometimes it's paid, sometimes it's unpaid, but you just have to go with the flow. You're going,
Mhm.
going to rest. And when you go to rest, you meditate and your mind opens up to the endless possibilities of what you could do when it's time to resume your work. And so
Mhm.
whether that I take a month from my job and whether it's like I take the one vacation paid and the other 3 weeks are unpaid, but I just go with the flow, you know. And so I will leave and I will go back home to Grenada and I will just lay down on the beach and just in the sun, just in the sun. And the sun radiates so much positive energy. It's like it's while my brain is resting and drinking plenty of water to clean out your system from all the toxins that you've been consuming. So that's what um and resting and not putting yourself into overdrive is what helps your brain to just it brings more clarity. It brings more
Right.
clarity. And so that's when I realized that you don't just have to depend on your 9 to 5 to because if you put your entire life to another man's hands, you give them the power to control your entire life. So you just put all your eggs in one basket. Your 9 to 5. Now, okay, you're working at this 9 to 5 company. You don't own the company. What happens if something happens to their company and they end up going out of business? You get laid off
Mhm.
and it's
Sure.
out of. So you have
Yeah.
to have another way, another means of trying to, have another income. Maybe you want to build your own business. Maybe it's something you want to sell. So what I would do all right now I put out, and I again, I don't overcrowd myself with so much. I will only drop about 1 to 2 songs a year. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to drop all 5 and 10 songs. When I'm ready to do an album, I will go with the flow and the album will come. Right. But right now it's just singles. I drop 1 or 2 songs a year. And then I'm like, okay, music. Remember now, music doesn't really make a lot of money fast through streaming. Right.
Mhm.
So you have to now do other things to market the music. I started selling t-shirts. I started selling t-shirts with phrases from my songs. People were buying, you know,
Mhm.
and so I was making a little money with through my business basically and not having to depend solely on the 9 to 5. So
Yes.
balance there. And then again, like I said, you take a rest, and you pray, or you meditate and pray, and you just find clarity, and then you get.
But sorry, you didn't tell us about the name of the baby.
The
Yeah.
name of the baby.
Yes.
Well, I call my baby Tessie. That's her nickname. Okay. And when it comes to names, I always say it's very important to name your children something positive. All right. And I made her name up. There's a book in the Bible called the Book of Thessalonians, right? And so I just decided that I wanted to name her Tessely, but I spelled it in a way that is unique to me, and just I gave it its own meaning, because I think it's very, very important to name your children something that you want to speak over their life, because words are very powerful. Growing up in kindergarten, they would always, when they're teaching you to speak, when you put letters together, they tell you spell that word, right? And they tell us when you sound out the word, you have to spell it out. Words are like spelling, and so the way my brain looks at that is like every time you speak, you're almost casting a spell, so you have to be careful of what you say, because what you speak it out into existence. You have to be careful of the energy that you put out into the world, because your energy is a part of all the vibrations in this world. All right. So if you give good energy, people are going to give you good energy, and that's what you want. So my name is Camille. My name means perfect. It means a noble helper. And so because my mom named me that and basically speak that over my life, I became a perfectionist, and I became a very noble helper. I'm always trying to help people. And so I said, I'm gonna name my daughter, after a book in the Bible, because I would like her to be very close to God. So that's what.
Yes, I want to ask you about the choice of artwork for your singles. They are sometimes sexy, they are sometimes provocative.
Yeah.
Do you think this is helping the single, or they can put them in, the wrong type of audience, or people can misinterpret them? Tell me about your criteria in choosing your art work for the singles, your poses, stuff like that, according to you, in your own words.
Well, to be honest with you, I've never had anyone look at my work as provocative work. I've never had anyone call it that. And I think it's because the culture that we come from, when it comes to soca music, it's all about expressing your freedom. And so we don't judge each other's freedom. We just free. We just be. We just live where we're as one with the earth. The earth is free, and we just have a free spirit. You know, and so that's what I expose just being a free spirit. And so I've never had anybody say your work is provocative. If anybody thinks that, they probably just haven't said it to me. They probably just haven't commented it to me. But I've never had anybody say that. If it helps in the industry now, well, I mean, people do like what they see. They like what they see. At the end of the day, all of our bodies are filled with different hormones, and we get attracted to what we're attracted to. And I think that's what the law of attraction is all about too. So it helps reach who it's supposed to, and who it's not supposed to reach. If it's not for them, it's not for them. I don't really fight up about.
Great. I want my final question. I want to ask you, since we are in Christmas and New Year, do you have plans? Do you have dreams for the upcoming period for you and your kids as
Oh,
well?
absolutely. I'm always dreaming. I'm always dreaming. um, and I'm just dreaming for peace, light, positivity, and that's just the direction that I want to go in. And
Time,
you know,
life, love and tenderness, like Michael Bolton's song.
say that again.
Time, love and tenderness, like Michael Bolton's song.
Right. So when I was little and again looking up to Beyonce, and I saw her as a star and I wanted to be a star too, But then I realized that, all of us we can all be stars in our own way. You just have to work towards that, and I just go with the flow. I'm always looking to the light, and I just follow the direction of the light. Just like the star shines bright, like it's just a light, So of course I see big things coming. And it for me now, again with the music industry, I started to realize it's not that I want to be a celebrity. I said I don't want to be a celebrity or this like person of high status that everyone is looking up to, because oftentimes you see people blow up into these big celebrities, and then when you really get to find out their real personality or their real behaviors, if you notice, people end up not liking them anymore.
Yes.
Like,
By the way, can you see the screen on your phone? We have a comment here. Can you see the
oh
comment?
yeah, where's the comment? Where's
Can
my
you read it? Up,
give
up, up.
give her a political career right now? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Look, and
Yes.
another one
Oh
from the
wow.
same.
Wow. Thank you. And it's funny as you bring politics into it, because you see politics is something that I always try to stay away from, because everybody is always arguing about politics, because
Mhm,
politics is actually more spiritual than people even really think, you know
mhm.
and I stay away from it, because politics is actually very religious. Politics is actually very it's deeper than just creating laws. It's a whole bunch
Yeah,
of
it is a cult.
right. It's a whole bunch of mind control and advantages on the human.
Manchurian candidate. Yes, yes, yes.
Away
Okay.
from politics, but I just say that to say that what I again growing up listening to the American music, looking up to Beyonce. I remember every graduation that, and it's not just me, but it's actually systemic here in our Black communities in the United States. Every
Mhm,
child who's ever graduated, we all graduate to R. Kelly's song. All of us do. Okay,
mhm,
and graduation is like a rite of passage to the next level in life. And we would
mhm,
all sing, "I believe I could fly." We was all singing all songs, right? Then when you get to know what the person really is like behind the scenes, everybody all of a sudden started to pull back and feel very guilty that we all had a part to play to contribute into seeing this person rise up. You know, so that's the goal is not to be a celebrity. The goal is to be a good person. And in life, the garden always learn, treat others the way that you would like to be treated. And so that's my goal. What you put out is what you'll get back. You understand? So celebrity, but it's more about being a star, being a positive light. A star is a positive light. We all look up to the stars and we make a up to the stars and see just beautiful lights. And that's what I want to be around. Beautiful lights. Not silly.
Camille, I want to thank you very much for this lovely interview, and thank for Antonio, my friend here,
Thank you.
who came on board with us. I thought I would like to thank your team, Mary and Sarah, for coordinating this with you. Wish you all the best. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Wish you all the best, and I hope you can come back when you have the new single dropping down next year. We'll be happy to have you again next year.
Amen. All right. So you guys have a very merry and blessed Christmas.
Mm.
And have a really bright, positive Christmas full of light.
Thank you. Gracias. Merci. Shukran in all the languages. Obrigado. Grazie. And thank you again, Camille. Yes. Excellent. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.